Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and citizens of YouTube. As Pastor Dow. You know, I am a presenter of truth, and I have never, ever, ever, in all my 50 years of living on this earth, have ever experienced truth being a very joyous occasion to hear and receive when you've been walking so contrary to it all your life without using critical thinking skills. When truth comes to you, the first thing we're programmed to do, because of the propaganda that's been given to us socially, politically, economically, religiously, is to close our ears, shut our eyes, and literally rebuke anyone who tries to do whatever they can to put a defibrillator on our mind to wake us up. So we usually spurn and hate truthers. The only truth that we love is the truth that we have already accepted, and we have already, prior to hearing someone else's perspective and point of view, we've already done believed it, swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. So when we hear it, it confirms what we have already agreed with, and we call that happiness. But whenever we hear truth that we're not ready for, or so to speak, or we have not educated ourselves for, we usually make those people enemies. And then what happens is our attitude is we experience oppression, we experience depression, and then we have this wall up against people who tell the truth, because then we respond to them as if they are our enemies, when I have loved you enough to tell you the truth. So basically, in a nutshell, what does truth do when you first hear it? It pisses you off. That's basically what it does. It pisses you off until you have the self-determination and the drive to be able to get it. And one day, hopefully one day, you will. But until then, anytime you hear truth, you're going to experience madness, depression. You're going to feel like you're oppressed, and you're going to make an enemy out of those who actually tell the truth. Oh boy. And you know what? You have to have a couple of train wrecks. You have to have a very long walk off a very short pier. You have to come to your end before you realize that all those who have been telling you the truth has actually been trying to preserve you from yourself and pain. Well, what was all that for? Well, scenes of panic in India as gold prices skyrockets after currency ban. Yeah, you got that right. Over in India right now, gold stands to skyrocket to $2,800 an ounce US dollars, simply because of the currency ban that is going on. Now, there's a whole lot involved, and I'm going to include a link down below the Zero Head so you can go read it for yourself if you choose to. So what's going on? What's happening? Well, the Prime Minister over there in India, there's a nationalist group. They have actually used the public food system to indoctrinate the people. Just like here in America. We think we're operating after our own will. We think that because we make choices and decisions based on the information that they have presented to us to choose from, multiple choice, that we've actually chosen right. Well, check this out. It says here, today's India is on the verge of a major social political crisis unless either the government backs off from the decision of banning the currency or some real magic happens. There's chaos in the streets, and daily life is slowly but surely coming to a full halt. What Modi did was not only heavy-handed, hugely arrogant, and of no value, it has been very badly implemented to boot. As everything in India always is, and carries the real potential of escalating and snowballing into something horrific. They could have seen that this was not going to end well by simply using primary school math. In other words, do the numbers, right? All right. Modi, or nationalism, and the public school indoctrination of middle class. India today is like a cult under the influence of their prime minister, which I can't pronounce his name. Narendra Modi. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Because India is actually a land of pagans. They worship elephants and everything. Anyway, let's go on. India today is like a cult under the influence of the prime minister, in which, unlike in the past, not the poorest or uneducated citizens, but mostly members of the so-called educated middle class participate. Over the last 2 decades, people have been exposed to mass education, TV, and nationalist propaganda without being taught an iota of critical thinking skills. Man, that sounds like America. What do you mean India? That sounds just like America. Let me go on, because I'm going to try to stay the course, okay? In a society in which the concept of reason does not exist, this has made these people receptive to any kind of propaganda with a nationalist, or they got some fanatical Hinduism, which is rapidly mestatizing to aggrandize his position, the Prime Minister of India, order a lot of military hardware that India cannot afford, escalating tensions with Pakistan, and conducted what was very likely a large surgical strike inside Pakistan. This united Indians under the flag. Now, this demobilization of the 5 R's 500 and the R's 1000 banknotes was tagged with nationalism, anti-corruption, and anti-terrorism, simple-minded slogans. Susceptible people were hardwired to accept the erroneous casualties. Those who did not go along were made to be afraid of being called pro-terrorist elements. I know that this article keeps saying that it's India, but why does it sound like America? Those in the middle class who have taken what they deem to be the higher moral ground, for they have mostly avoided suffering from the demonetization, lacking moral instincts. That sounds just like Americans, which is unfortunately the case with much of India's society, given its deep-rooted irrationality of superstitions. They simply cannot see or feel the pain of those who are suffering, even if that suffering stares into their faces. This is America. I know they're talking about India, but this is America. But preventing emotions that will likely very soon lead to these salaried members of the middle class starting to feel the pain as well. Their intrinsic trust of motive is likely within weeks of coming crashing down. Not because of reasoned argument, but because they will be facing similar problems as the ones of the common man is now facing. In other words, India is doomed, just like America, pretty much. You've been duped, you've been deceived, you've been had. Number one, by your lying preachers who gives you this utopia of a system that have you to trust in Federal Reserve notes. Over there, same thing. Everything is going to reset back to sound money, whether you like it, comprehend it, understand it or not. Who cares about your visceral against truth? Most of you ain't led by truth anyway. You're led by whatever you feel. Okay, you wake up in the morning, I feel happy. So your day is good, full of joy, until somebody like me comes along and you click on this channel and you're truth, and all of a sudden you're depressed. Heaviness comes down over your countenances and faces. And the truth is, you can think yourself happy. That don't mean you're going to be happy for a long period of time. I promise you that. Wake up!